The Stanley County Board of Education meeting to order. Welcome to those of you here in attendance and to those that may be joining us via live streaming. We appreciate you being here and your support of Stanley County Schools. I would like at this time to call on Mr. Dustin Lisk for our invocation and pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We pray for your strength and your wisdom, that we work together and make decisions on the best interests of this county. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Lisk. Next on the agenda is FFA presentation. I'm going to turn this over to you, Miss Mandy Melton. We're looking forward to this.
Good evening. Career and technical student organizations are a large part of career and technical education. One of the largest CTSOs in our school is the Future Farmers of America. FFA's mission states they make a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agriculture education. Here tonight, we have representatives from the 3 FFA chapters to speak on their experiences. First up is North Stanley High School.
We have a paper with some pictures on it. Jalen's going to pass out here for y'all, then we'll get to speaking after that. All right. I'm Jackson Erlacher. I'm from North Stanley FFA chapter. I'm the president serving this year. And I was just going to go over a few things that we've done this past year that have really impacted the lives of all the people we have in our chapter and me specifically and Jalen. So if you look up there in the top left-hand corner, it's a picture of me. That was when we went to the RLC last year. We, right there, we participated in multiple events. For instance, we did forestry. We finished midway in the federation or region. We had one plant ID team that finished first, and they went on to states after that. And there, actually, I was promoted to vice president of the region at that specific event. Next, we did the state convention after that. There, we received our state degrees for FFA. We got to really get out of our comfort zone and do some different stuff, like walk up on stage and receive different awards. I participated in the Star Farmer event for that I do around here, and I worked hours to get up for that during the year. And then after that, we did most recently the Regional Leadership Conference. There I as vice president of the region, I would go and send kids through workshops and teach them about good character skills that you can learn to teach kids and make sure they get out of their comfort zone and learn how to speak, good speaking skills, how to manage time wisely, things like that. And then most recently this past week, we went to National Convention. There we got to see how FFA is on a wide scale. There were about 65,000 people there at that event. It was just really good for us to go to. I had a lot of fun there, and we just got to do so many different things. We just had a lot of fun with all our friends and everybody we have in our FFA. Jalen's going to say a few things.
So if y'all could go to the second row, the first 2 pictures, that's FFA Center. We went to the FFA camp this past summer. It's in White Lake, North Carolina. I really enjoyed it. That was like my first FFA event because I just joined recently last year. And I really liked the event because it like went through multiple like personalities and stuff like that. Because I met people from all over North Carolina and different schools and stuff like that. Not everybody had the same like abilities as others. But one thing, the FFA camp, there was like multiple activities that multiple kids could do. That maybe if you weren't the most athletic, you could do this event, and if you like were athletic, then you might not be as good as that one. And just it brought a lot of kids together, and everybody had an amazing time, and I did also. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So good evening, y'all. I am Casey Thompson, and I am the advisor at South Stanley High School. My FFA officers are going to bring you guys around our October newsletter. So this is something that we do monthly, sometimes bi-monthly, but that's something that we put together to kind of show our community a little bit about what we're doing. So I wanted to show you guys a little bit of our October information. But of course, you guys are really here to see our lovely officers talk. So I'm going to hand it over to Addie Williams and Ava Talbert, who are going to talk to you guys a little bit about what we do at South Stanley.
Hi, I'm Addison Williams. I'm the secretary at SSHS FFA. I'm going to be talking about what we did this chapter, and I'm going to start off with the Equine Science Camp. This year we, Ms. Thompson let the officers help with teaching the students about handling and grooming the horses and how to properly take care of a horse. We did a few projects like doing a horseshoe and a portrait with your horse that you chose, and we even went to her parents' farm, her horse farm, and she let even the helpers ride all the horses. And it was a really fun experience to get along with all the younger students and just get them involved in the FFA also. And then we went to the state fair recently. We did a field trip. It was awesome. We had a really good time, and we got to just see everybody from everywhere else. We got to go to a lot of exhibits, which was really awesome. Ms. Thompson made a little scavenger hunt for us to go to all the exhibits and see all the animals at the state fair. We also did a haunted hayride just this weekend. All the officers dressed up and went around the school and scared all this little kids and some of the parents, for sure. It was just a really awesome time just to get along with everybody, hang out. It was just awesome. And then we actually have Ag Days coming up for the third graders at Aquadel, where we're going to be doing 8 stations, 8 rotations, and officers are gonna be teaching on the kids. We're gonna have agriculture specialists come out also teaching the kids, and it's just gonna be a really fun time to bring everybody together and learn about agriculture, which is what we're here to do. So, Ava.
Okay, well, my name is Ava Talbert, and I'm the current vice president of the South Stanley High School FFA chapter. And I'm going to go ahead and say, like, one of my biggest things that I have accomplished this year in FFA is that I've got to go on many trips and get to see everybody from all across the state and country. And we actually went in June to the state convention, where our forestry team, since we placed 4th at the regional rally, we ended up getting to go and compete at state convention. Well, we did not do as good as we hoped, but we did learn a lot, and it was just really fun to get to go and compete with everybody and see everybody. Just like people from North Stanley said, it was so amazing to get to go to one big thing where you see all blue jackets, see everybody just come out, and you're all one big blue sea, and you're like, who is who? We also got to learn like leadership skills there too, and for us to have to go and just get to experience something new that we haven't before was really fun. We also ended up doing the truck and tractor competition as well, and that was actually a couple weeks ago, and I did truck, and I didn't do as well as I hoped, but our Stetson, he ended up placing first in the Gold Mine Federation, so we are really proud of him too. We also ended up getting to go to National Convention just last week, and we ended up getting to go in North Stanley, and that was really good to get to bond with them and get to see how they do stuff, and overall like a good learning experience, and get to see people from all over the whole state or whole country. And for us to get to learn about, I think the speaker was Tamika Catchings. She spoke on how to be bold and how to stand your ground and how to just stick up for who you are and not change that person. We also ended up getting a North Carolina representative to be a national officer, and that is McKenna Clifton, and it was really cool to get to have a female from our state go and represent the whole country as a whole. We also are going to be having like a poinsettia sale coming up and a fruit and nut sale, and we are also going to have a succulent sale too if anybody would like to buy those. So I think that's it for me. Sure.
So thank you all so much for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to my officers or myself. So thank you.
Good evening. I'm Natalie Rogers. I'm the ag teacher at West Stanley High School. And here this evening I have my president, Lydia Hill, vice president, Kirsten Green, my treasurer, Chloe Bunn, and reporter, Emily Ward. And I'm going to turn it over to them to give you a little spiel of what West Stanley's been up to.
Good evening, Stanley County Board of Education. My name is Lydia Hill, and I'm serving as the West Stanley FFA chapter president for this year. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give an update on behalf of our chapter. Throughout the 2021-22 school year, our chapter competed in many career development events. We had members participate in livestock evaluation, dairy evaluation, vet science, tool ID, horticulture, floriculture, meats evaluation, and forestry. Members also individually competed in leadership development events such as creed speaking, job interview, and prepared public speaking. Students compete at regional, state, and national levels for these events. All these competitions have been opportunities for our members to step out of their comfort zone and learn new things. Throughout the school year, many fundraisers are held to support our chapter financially. Our first fundraiser of the year is our Fall Mum Sale. Then our Christmas wreath and poinsettia sale for the holidays. We are introducing a new fundraiser this year where we are selling farmer appreciation calendars. We asked local farmers if we could use a month to spotlight what type of agricultural role they play, and we created a calendar out of all the farms that contributed. In the spring, we have a plant sale, which typically wraps up our fundraisers for the year. Our annual Ag Day is an event our chapter holds in the spring for local elementary schoolers to learn about the importance of agriculture. Our members lead various stations for students to rotate to so they can learn all about individual agricultural industries such as swine, cattle, poultry, sheep, and goats. We also have stations for bees, small animals, horticulture, equipment, forestry, and agribusiness. We hope to continue this yearly tradition and keep it growing over time. At the end of the school year, our FFA chapter holds a banquet to showcase all of our members' hard work and accomplishments. Awards are received and the new officer team is appointed. Thanks to our sponsors, we were able to provide all of our members and their families with dinner at our banquet. It was a great way to wrap up the year, and hopefully it continues to be. Over the summer, our chapter attended the North Carolina State FFA Convention in Raleigh, where our meats evaluation team placed second in the state. Our former president, Brooklyn Edwards, also earned her state degree and placed second with her proficiency award for goats. We bonded with other FFA chapters such as North and South all over North Carolina while attending general sessions throughout the week. Towards the end of the summer, we took a group of members to White Lake FFA camp. We spent 5 days interacting with FFA members across the state through sports and leadership activities. This trip was a great bonding experience for our chapter to get a deeper connection with each other. We have attended the Fall Regional Leadership Conference where we learned leadership skills to take home to our chapter, And finally, our show team just returned from the NC State Fair, where members showed goats and heifers. We have a busy year planned with lots of exciting events, so be sure to keep up with our chapter. Thank you all for the opportunity to give you an update on our chapter.
Ms. Bailey, are we going to get some pictures of all these wonderful students? And yeah, the front. Yeah.
One more, guys. Hold on. Perfect. Thank you.
We want to thank you so much, Miss Mandy Melton, and all of these great leaders here from North and South and West, their teachers. You know, when we visit schools, we love when we get a chance to go see the animals. I know I got to see the goat in West Stanley and pet the goat. And then I think you were talking about like in the summertime where you have the horse camps. I know that I had a granddaughter that participated with that. She loved it, just, you know. So it's wonderful that you truly are leaders. We could see that, couldn't we, board members? I mean, as you got up here and spoke to us and so well prepared in your presentation, you truly are leaders at your school and in your program. So we just wish you much success. I hope the program continues to grow at each school. And if our board can ever do anything, we are here to support you. So please just let us know. Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time on our agenda this evening are several recognitions. Dr. Dennis, I'm going to turn this over to you. And I know for some of you, we've had a chance to meet with you and our retirees from the 2019, 2020, 21 school year. We've had a delightful time with you. So now it is definitely time to celebrate you. Thank you.
Right, good evening. It is with great pleasure that tonight we recognize our dedicated employees who retired from Stanley County Schools during the pandemic from the fall of 2018 to spring of 2021. We thank all of you for serving the students and families of Stanley County Schools. As I call your name, if you are present, please come forward to accept a small token of our appreciation. Please remain standing at the front until all names have been called. Audience, I would ask if you would please hold your applause until all names have been called. That would be great. So we do have quite a list. Sheila Barbie, Doris Beverly, Robert Blake, Tammy Blaylock, Margaret Bowers, Susan Brooks, Rachel Buckenmeyer, Julie Bush, Jolene Cagle, Jan Coley, Renee Creighton, Guy Davis, Maureen Davis, Sherry Day, Lee Dennis, Kim Donahue, Donna Dry, Elizabeth Edwards, Jennifer Udi, Tracy Gaddy, Bart Gibson, Anna Goins, Ron Golden, Pam Grant, Curtis Grant, David Grice, Tammy Griffin, Darlene Hagerty, Susan Haltom, Janet Hartzell, Asa Hudson, Carrie Huffman, Jane Ellen Honeycutt, Barbara Honeycutt, Danette Honeycutt, Teresa Engel, Melissa Eisenhower, William Kendall, Susan Lamar, Shelby Lawson, Elizabeth Lewis, Sandra Lieberman, Kim Linker, Sharon Lowe, David Lowe, Dorothy Mabry, Karen Mann, Ann Malden, Linda McCormick, Peggy Sue McDaniel, Carolyn McLaurin, Keela McManus, Carla McSwain, Phyllis McSwain, Dawn Medlin, David Meisenheimer, Penny Morton, Karen Morton, David Mueller, Randy Lucy Nelson, Tammy Palmer, George Parker, James Patrick, Charlotte Poplin, Danny Poplin, Carmia Poplin, Sonny Richards, Elisa Roberts, Carol Rogers, Mark Rolls, Leslie Rummage, Teresa Rushing, Melissa Russell, Kelly Samples, Susan Shields, Tina Small, Karen Smith, Teresa Smith, William Sorensen, believe will be accepted on behalf of his wife tonight. Wanda Spearin, Virginia Spencer, Joe Starnes, Sally Sumi, Joyce Treese, Raquel Tucker, Michelle Vickers, Mary Wallace, Lynn Scott Weicker, Cynthia Wells, Sonia Whitley, Michael Williams, Francis Williams, John Williams, and Sherry Ziegler. So a special congratulations to all of you. Thank you for your service.
I know that some of you may be leaving at this time. we certainly want to thank you for being here. We thank you for your service. And I know that 2018, 19, 20, it kind of did a number on us with wanting to recognize you through the pandemic. We cannot ever express to you our deep gratitude for all that you've done for the children, for the schools, for the communities. We just never could thank you enough, but know that you are so appreciated. I know that many of you I had a chance to speak with, and Dr. Dennis, I tried my best to get them to come back to work. Some of them actually are employed with us, and some of them aren't, or maybe they were thinking, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to pray real hard that you...
Well, it's an open invitation.
I know, it's an open invitation to come back. And then, I taught one standing back there in about my first or second year of teaching at Indy, and that's Miss Keela McManus. Dr. Dennis, we were in the old basement of Indy School. They put us in the basement. There wasn't another room. And what a delightful group. We just had the best time, even among the snakeskins and whatever else was down there.
Well, I bet it brought you closer together.
Yes, it did bring us closer together. And I know that Keela has a daughter back there going into education, so, I was already talking hard with her. But our board just, we know that it was hard to try to recognize you during the time of the pandemic and COVID. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you, and may God richly, richly bless you and your families. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair and members of the board, I'd like to bring up Ms. Rachel Turner. We're going to recognize some ESS employees.
I mean, before you guys go, if you want an application.
I tried.
Hello. Thank you for having me tonight. This is the first time we have done this, and we are pretty excited. What I actually did is we wanted to have subs of the month. We have here today September and October folks. And they were nominated by school secretaries and principals. And we had about 19 principals participate and had dozens upon dozens of folks nominated. And we have 4 here tonight, and I wanted to recognize all of them for their hard work. I was looking at it when the nominations kind of came in. We had quite a few who are long-term subs and quite a few who have just jumped in here and there, and they're trying to get pulled into long-terms, but not quite yet. And the first one is going to be Renee Watkins. Renee has been helping out at Oakboro quite a bit, and something that was said about her is that no matter what's going on during the day, she always is saying, what can I do? How can I help? And if you've ever been in a school, you feel like you're always busy. She manages to stay busier. And so she is the first person I'd like to recognize tonight. Then we have a sub who has just recently left Albemarle High School, Mr. Roger Blake. He was at Albemarle High School in a long-term position doing one of the Polycom positions, and if you know anything about those, that was 2nd and 4th block. They had something to do, and 1st and 3rd, and I think there's probably 5th squeezed in there. They had a lot of other things to do, and Mr. Blake is here tonight as a sub from Albemarle High School. And I will say Mr. Blake actually just took a position as a TA at West Stanley High School in one of our EC positions. So it was one of our harder to fill spots, and he has now taken that position full time. Next, we actually have another sub from Albemarle High School. This sub, whenever she goes into a building, they say, please come back. And I tell them, no, she's going back to Albemarle High School. And she has been there since the beginning, and Miss Tammy Beecham has done anything and everything asked of her. And she will go on to tell you that she loves being in the school. She's actually a new sub. And if you ever want to be convinced to go to one of our city schools, she will do it. Tammy has been a heartfelt, wonderful addition to the sub pool. And we actually have another sub who joined us just this summer. 3 of the 4 here today are brand new subs who, her first day, she went to one school and she said, no, I think I want to try something else. And the next day she went out to Richfield Elementary and she has not left. She started in a kindergarten position and she has moved into an EC position. And the principal there, Ms. Odom, says that she is quietly competent and she has a nurturing attitude. And she is serving in a long-term position in an EC classroom. And this is Ms. Shannon Reese. And I will say these are 4 of 134. And of those 134, we have actively about 115 in our schools on any given basis. And these 4 have just stood out. It was actually kind of hard to pick. These 4 actually got multiple nominations, and it was something really wonderful to present to them and just recognize them. And we just thank you for allowing us to do that.
Thank you so much. I know that your days are very challenging, and it takes special people to be our subs, and just the wonderful things you had to say about them. You know, our hearts are filled with thankfulness for you, and if there's any way we can support you, please let our board know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you again to our subs. We couldn't do it without you. The last thing I have for tonight is a certificate of recognition, and that's for years of service. And he could not be here in person, but he is here by phone. And this is for Mr. Anthony Graves in participation or appreciation of his service and dedication toward providing a quality education for the children in Stanley County Schools, and that is from 2018 to 2022. So thank you, Mr. Graves. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Graves. I'm not sure if you heard that.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, there you are.
I unmute myself. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, so you got your certificate for years of service, and we appreciate what you have done on this board. Thank you so much.
Thank you from England.
Yes. Yes, jolly old England. At this time, next on our agenda, at this time I would like to ask for a motion to enter into closed session for personnel matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, Section A6. Student matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1. Attorney-client matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, Section A3. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion we go into closed session.
A motion by Ms. Poplin, a second. Second by Ms. Watson. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Our board is now in closed session. For all of you recipients that via live streaming, we appreciate you being here. I would be remiss if I did not say this before we move on to something else. We have a board member, Mr. Bill Sorensen, who is not feeling well and could not be here with us tonight. Certainly, our prayers are with him that he is able to make a recovery and feel better soon. Mr. Anthony Graves is overseas in England, so this is why he is not with us tonight as well. Both of them, I believe, are joining us by phone. Next on the agenda is public comments. In accordance with Policy 2310, public participation at board meetings each month, part of at least one regular scheduled meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the board through public comment. Each speaker will receive 3 minutes to present comments. However, the public comment session will not exceed 15 minutes total, except by majority vote of the board. At this time, we have 2 speakers. The first one is William Schaefer. If you would come forward, please. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. How y'all doing? Good. Well, my name's William Schaefer. I go by Bill, Billy, or whatever comes to mind. I live here in Albemarle, and I've been living here since 2016. I'm here to talk about Policy 3200 and 3210, I believe it is, and some revisions that I think that it's undergoing at this time, or maybe some possible revisions. So, since there's other speakers behind me, I'm not going to ask for more time than the 3 minutes, but I have what is a collection of thoughts, my thoughts, other parents' thoughts that I have talked to since taking an interest, what I believe to be a vested interest as a taxpayer here in our education system in this county and, of course, abroad. Basically, I'll get right to it. Concerned parents and taxpayers, going back to the COVID years, and these are thoughts and perceptions and feelings that I've gotten and that I've had over time as well. So, going back to the COVID years, parents found or perceived basically government institutions and specifically our education systems were working in opposition to moral principles, traditional education principles, and the like. And they've been forced to re-examine the system and the individuals that we entrusted our children to. We've been forced to take action because of what is perceived as a betrayal by the education system at large. Okay, not necessarily or specifically because of this education system, but certainly it's included. In light of everything that they've learned since the COVID pandemic years, 2019 to 2022 and going forward, they've decided to become more engaged. But from what we've seen in more than a few instances, it seems that parents are ignored or even vilified for standing up to boards of educations and other officials who've built their fiefdoms, so to speak, virtually unchallenged in the arena of public education. And our thinking is that if we do not challenge the institutional thinking and the neo-conventional thinking of so-called experts and professional educators, if we become complacent and don't engage, the failures and blatant objectives of this education system, the education system at large, and some of its people, and the people and movements that seek to undermine and eradicate fundamental truths in education and decency, this will take a toll on the community and ultimately our republic. Some would say that we've already experienced some of the rotten fruit of some of these efforts, and that we've already experienced the disappointment of our educators and education system failures. This is why concerned parents and taxpayers are beginning to directly participate in and engage with the boards of education, school principals, and teachers to restore the true and traditional purpose of our education systems and programs in our county, in our town, ultimately in our state, and the country at large.
Mr. Schaefer.
Yes.
I know the 3 minutes is up or
Oh,
over.
it goes quick.
It does.
What I have here also, if I would like to be able to give it to you, is some thoughts and perceptions, questions and statements as collected from other parents that I have talked to, certainly statements and thoughts and questions that I've had regarding policy 3200 and 3210.
Okay.
Would I be able to give you a copy of that?
Yes, Mr. Schaefer, if you will, would you hand that to our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Amy Blake Lewis?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'll give you the entire thing.
Yes. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kaylin Butler. Hey, Kaylin.
I'm Kaylin Butler, and I have spoke at previous meetings, and I wanted to update you on what has happened in the last 4 weeks. We no longer have the connections block every single day. It is kind of a random schedule. We are not allowed to leave the classroom during connections for any reason, even to use the bathroom. Another topic I want to address is lunch. I feel that there is very, very little time to eat, and it is unfair that I go wait in the lunch line and my friend goes and sits down and has all 30 minutes to eat and socialize with her friends. Last week they had to recook the chicken nuggets and I had 3 minutes to eat, but we got 8 more minutes to eat and then had to go back to class. Lastly, I feel that when you are voting on things, you do not discuss or research the topic enough before approving them. That could be wrong, so tell me if it is at the end. And again, I am just stating my opinion every time I get up to speak. I will not be here for the comments because I have to go to a volleyball game, but I will go back and watch the video. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kaylin, and good luck at your volleyball game. We certainly wrote down everything that you brought to our attention. Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Board members, you've had a time to look over the minutes from the October 4th regular meeting, the October 19th special called meeting. If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
A motion by Ms. Poplin, a second. Second by Ms. Watson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The consent agenda has been approved. Thank you. Next, we have committee reports. First one is facilities. Dr. Rufus Leffler.
No report. We didn't have a meeting this month.
Thank you. Finance, Mr. Dustin Lisk.
All right. Well, Anthony is not here, so I'm going to use his time to read out our committee report. We did meet the Finance Committee, Anthony, Mr. Graves, Ms. Vicki Watson, and myself on October 27th. We did cover a lot, but we spent most of the time discussing the classified pay scale. If you're familiar with that, board members. We do have a couple motions coming out of here. I'm going to just give a brief description first before I make the motion. The first is the Department of Public Construction will begin using an updated pay scale for classified employees starting in fiscal year 2023-2024. This is a pay scale that they've adopted from the Office of State Personnel, which is the pay scale that applies to all state employees. So the pay scale that the DPI is going to has built-in cost of living adjustments, salary adjustments, and job descriptions It's much better than one we have now. And if you recall, our committee and this board requested approximately $1 million in funding from the county in our budget request to adopt a revised and updated pay scale at the local level that corrects the grades and steps for these said classified employees. We didn't receive any additional funding. However, our committee believes we can at least move forward to adjust the classified employees to correct steps. This adjustment would affect roughly 20 to 25 employees and cost approximately $100,000 in recurring funding. This adjustment does not include the remaining $900,000 of the previous said million needed to fully update the pay scale. So, Madam Chair, I move to approve to immediately adjust our classified employees to the correct steps effective November the 1st.
Thank you. So, board members, you have heard this is coming out of committee. I move to approve to immediately adjust, beginning today, November 1st, to adjust the classified employees to their correct steps. May I have a second?
I second.
A second by Mr. Graves. Any discussion?
Just one comment. I think this is retroactive back to July. Is that not correct, Mr. Lisk?
Mr. Graves, we didn't decide that in the committee meeting, but we do have that ability as a board at this particular time to retroactively back that to July the 1st. But at this time,
I thought we had agreed to that, and I would just ask, I think we should ask Mr. Gunny what the impact would be if we hadn't agreed to that.
yeah, the $100,000 is just what the annual recurring would be on a fiscal year basis.
So it would be retroactive.
For this year, effective November the 1st, it wouldn't be the full $100,000. So it would not be retroactive based on what the committee discussed back to July the 1st.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Any other discussion? Okay, once again, the motion is to approve to immediately adjust our classified employees to the correct steps. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, this motion has passed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, board members. The second topic that we spent some time on as a committee was discussing, it's really an administrative move on the state reporting of the Article 44 sales tax revenue. Each year we receive this sales tax revenue that's collected by the county. Both the county and the school system submit audit reports of these revenues to the state. The school system does not have the authority to choose where to allocate these funds on our audit reports. We must take direct instruction from the county, and the county instructed the school, or does instruct the school system each year, and to my knowledge, at least the last 3 years, to allocate these funds to local expense rather than capital outlay. However, the county submits the allocation as capital outlay to the state, and our final reports to the state allocate to local expense. This mismatch in reporting results in the state notifying both entities of the finding. It also, if you recall, charter schools receive a portion of allotment of our local expense funds. Hence, we receive less of our designated funds from the Article 44 sales tax revenue when allocated to local expense. Additionally, the sales tax revenue is intended for capital outlay. So, Madam Chair, I move for this board to submit a formal request to the Chief Financial Officer of the county to match up how the Article 44 sales tax should be allocated, and that the designated funds remain allocated the same within each of the final audit reports to the state.
Thank you. So this is coming out of committee. Once again, the motion is to move this board to submit a formal request to the Chief Financial Officer of the county to match up how Article 44 sales tax should be allocated, and that the designated funds remain allocated the same within each of the final reports to the state. In doing so, I know this will help out our school system and Mr. Terry Dudney. Okay? So we have a motion coming out of committee. May I have a second? A second by Mr. Graves. Any discussion? Okay, with no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, this has passed. And I am assuming that I will get with you, Mr. Dudney, Dr. Dennis, Hope, as we submit this formal request. Okay. Thank you, Mr. List. Thank you for what your committee's done. Next is instructional program. I know that Mr. Sorensen is not here. Dr. Amy Blake Lewis, are you going to be presenting something for us?
Yes, ma'am. I have one thing on the agenda.
Okay.
I'd be happy to go through that information as well if you'd like.
Okay, so can we just, do you want to give this?
Yes, ma'am.
When we call on you?
Yes,
kind of
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Next is marketing, community engagement, and safety. Ms. Poplin?
Yes, we had a Marketing, Community Engagement, and Safety Committee meeting on October the 10th, where we discussed some new gate policies at our county athletic events. And those have been implemented and I think are going very well. And at this time, I would like to call up Ms. Jennifer Flo to update us on some of our grants. Thank you, Ms. Flo.
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity. We did apply for 2 grants within the past year, and we did receive actually both of those grants, so I just wanted to share that with you. The School Resource Officer Grant, the School Safety Grant, for the resource officers, we received $403,326. For the School Safety Equipment Grant, we received $54,000. The School Safety Equipment Grant is going to be used to finish out the purchase of metal detectors in all of the elementary schools and to ensure that our high schools each have 2 metal detectors to assist with athletic gates to get the flow of people through quicker. The School Resource Officer Grant that we applied for, we are hoping to eventually be able to put a school resource officer in all of our schools, elementary, middle, and high. So we are working with our local municipalities and our county government to make sure that we can get that put into place. And the next grant that we received was our School Violence Prevention Program grant. It's the COPS grant, and it was for $333,654. And that is going to be used to finish out the key card access at all of our schools to help improve safety so we'll know who is in and out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. I know that every board member here certainly wants to say that how much we appreciate you, Ms. Jennifer Flo, all the work that you're doing in acquiring these grants for us. And I know that we have Mr. Anthony Graves on the phone, and I know that it was a big topic for him with the SROs. So to think that we are able, hopefully, to have our SROs in all of our schools, that's outstanding. Okay. Thank you so much.
And I just wanted to reiterate to Jennifer and her team and everyone else, Beverly and Melissa, all you guys on the Community Engagement and Safety Committee. They're putting in a lot of hours and hard work, so we really appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Flo.
Next, we have personnel, Ms. Watson.
No report.
Thank you. And then we have policy, Ms. Poplin.
I do have a list tonight. We have some policies up for final approval tonight. I'll go ahead and read that list. Policy 4334/5035,
7345, use of unmanned aircraft. Policy 5240, advertising in the schools. Policy 6220, operation of school nutrition services. Policy 6305, safety and student transportation services. Policy 6560, disposal of surplus property. Policy 7620, payroll deductions. New policy 8320, depositories. New policy 9400, sale, disposal, and lease of board-owned real property. Policy 3460, graduation requirements. Policy 4700, student records. Policy 5070/7350, public records retention, release, and disposition. Policy 7430, substitute teachers. And policy 3095, teacher assistants, are for final approval.
Okay, you've heard the reading of all of those. May I have a motion to approve these policies that were there for final approval tonight?
Motion. Thank you, Mrs. Watson. Motion to approve the policies.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Lisk, a second by Ms. Watson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, these policies have been approved.
Okay, and then I have a very short list for rescinded. So we have policy 7500, depositories, and policy 6500, disposition of school property, to be rescinded.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the rescinded policies.
Motion to approve the rescinded policies.
Thank you, Mr. Lisk. Second by Ms. Watson. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, these have been rescinded.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is our 2023-2024 school calendars. Miss Angela Wood.
Good evening. During the October board meeting, the board approved an early start calendar based on a resolution that was previously adopted. In your packet, I have shared an updated draft with just a few minor changes to that original calendar that was approved. These changes will allow us to have 5 sheltered professional days prior to the beginning of the school year. This will allow us to be better prepared for the beginning of the school year and provide professional development for all 5 of those days. So the only changes are originally August 2nd and 3rd were professional days, and November 7th and January 3rd were sheltered professional days. So we have switched those in this latest draft. So that's the only change there. Also wanted to share that both early colleges would be following the latest calendar draft. They're excited to follow the same calendar that we currently, follow as a district. And so provided that the board approves this latest draft, they would be following that as well. So I would entertain a vote at this time.
Okay, so Ms. Wood is asking for a motion to approve the changes to the 2023-2024 early start calendar. May I have a motion?
Make a motion we approve the changes to the 2023-2024 early start calendar.
I have a second. Second by Ms. Watson. Any discussion?
I just want to tell Ms. Wood that I really appreciate the calendar committee getting this together and getting it to us. So thank you.
Thank you.
And the fact that, if I understood correctly, the early college is going along with this.
It'll be in sync with us, and that way we won't have work days where one's in session and the other's not. It'll really match that up a lot.
Okay, I think that's awesome. Okay, I've had a motion, I've had a second, we've had discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, this has been approved. Thank you, Ms. Wood.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is curriculum and instruction, Dr. Amy Blake Lewis. And if you would kindly go over a few things from that meeting would be great.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to do that. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and be true to the agenda and address the early graduation. In your packet, it's I believe it's the very last item in your packet, is the list of candidates for early graduation this year. These are our high school seniors who have fulfilled graduation requirements one semester ahead of schedule, and they are requesting early graduation status. So you will see a list of their names, the school, the diploma type, meaning Future Ready Corps is the FRC, OCS, meaning Occupational Course of Study, the date that the committee meeting was held to meet with their parents and the student and the guidance counselor to make sure that everybody was in agreement, and the last column is whether or not they plan to attend graduation exercises. So this does require board approval, and I would ask for a vote at this time.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve our candidates for early graduation 2022-23?
I make a motion we approve the early candidate list for graduation for 2022-23.
Okay, a motion by Ms. Poplin, a second by Ms. Watson. Any discussion? I have one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a date planned for this graduation, when it's going to occur?
Most of them choose to attend the graduation exercises in June. So you'll see that last column that says attend graduation, yes. That means that they all intend to come back and walk with their class in June.
During June.
Yes, ma'am. They just want to go ahead and finish up now and either enter the workforce. Some of them may have plans to start college early, but they do, it looks like all of them have indicated yes, that they will come back and walk with their class in June.
Okay, that's great.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, no? Okay, this motion to approve the graduates for early graduation has passed. Thank you.
Okay, and to go over some of the minutes from the instructional committee, we did meet on October 17th. We shared the 21-22 school data. Tim Hatley, who is our Director of Testing and Accountability, accompanied me in this session and shared the most recent performance data from our EOGs and EOCs for last school year. We do have 10 identified low-performing schools, which is based on that school performance grade and the status of growth being either met or not met. I know that there's been some lengthy discussion around that 80-20 split with that accountability model. 80% of the results are based on student proficiency, while only 20% is based on growth. All of our schools either met growth or exceeded growth this year. So I know that our state superintendent, Catherine Truitt, is leading the charge to change that formula for determining those school performance grades. We also shared that our number of TSI schools, or our targeted support and improvement schools, has decreased from 15 to 7 schools. So we're very happy about that. That is basically looking at schools that have been successful in targeting underperforming subgroups of students. And most of those student subgroups that landed us on that TSI status were the subgroup of exceptional children, or special ed. So we are making some great strides with our special education services. The last thing that we discussed in that meeting was the connections block. I asked Dr. Karen Mitchell to share some information detailing how that connections block should be structured. And we are aware that there are schools that are not following the protocols that we have laid out. And I know our speaker tonight from West Stanley Middle School affirmed that as well. So I will definitely be checking into that location as well to see what's happening there. But basically, the intent of that connections block is to support literacy growth among our students. Currently, Stanley County Schools is hovering around just 50% grade level proficiency. And so this block of time will definitely be used to help boost our literacy skills, to bring us up in the level of grade level proficiency. So if we look at the purpose of that connections block, we have that divided into groups of below, at, and above grade level with a differentiated curriculum based on whether those students have special needs from below grade level. If they're at grade level, it's a grade level assignment. And then, of course, above grade level would be your AIG students and those students who need acceleration. So when this program is implemented with Fidelity, it serves a wonderful purpose for our students, and not only the academic function, but also to give students time to reconnect with each other. We have plans on Fridays for clubs, for special guest speakers. We have a CTE focus planned once a month. So there's a number of functions that this block is intended to address. And that was all addressed there in our instructional committee meeting. So, any questions?
Madam Chair, I would just like to thank Dr. Blake Lewis and Dr. Mitchell and Mr. Hatley for the presentation that day. I thought you
Yes, ma'am.
guys did a wonderful job with that. And also in addressing that concern with the campus. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
My understanding is that's been taken care of.
Thank you.
And also, you know, when we sat and listened to those school improvement plans.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I found it very interesting when some of our schools were sharing how the connection block was working. And in some of our schools, you know, where students were saying that it was one of their favorite times of the day. And, you know, I appreciate that at those schools and administrators as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is auxiliary services. Mr. Terry Dudney.
I just want to give an update that on our ESSER 3 retention bonus done that as a success. It was paid last Tuesday to all employees, full-time and part-time, for Stanley County Schools. So I just want to give y'all a heads up on that and let y'all know that we did meet our deadline and that it did go out on the 25th and not the 31st. Also, we're in the process now of working on our teacher certified staff supplements that will be going out this month. But you know, y'all moved that from December to November prior to the Thanksgiving holidays. So that will be working on getting that out by the 23rd or 22nd, I think.
Thank you for that update. And I know that all of our staff and teachers and others, everyone enjoys getting that, looking forward to getting that bonus. Okay, retention bonus, thank you. Next up is superintendent comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of things coming up. November 7th through the 11th is School Psychology Week. We have one of our school psychologists here in the audience. She just stepped out. This is Academic Writing Month. And as far as a couple important days, we have November 11th being Veterans Day. I know there was a project at West Stanley Middle School, a Veterans Oral History Project that's coming up. And November 24th is Thanksgiving. Two more things I do want to go over. First of all, happy birthday to Miss Poplin. And the last thing, it's a little somber, but I just want to just highlight and pray for the people of the Hedingham community in Raleigh that went through the tragic event a couple weeks ago with an active shooter. The reason it weighs heavy on my heart is I used to live in Hedingham when I lived in Raleigh, and I lived about a half a mile from where all this happened. And I was talking to some of my friends and people that I knew that when we lived together, some of my neighbors, when everything was going on. So just pray for those involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dennis. I will start with Ms. Watson.
I would just like to thank everybody with all this FFA, the retirees, the ESS employee. We have great things happening in Stanley County Schools, and I am really, really proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Ms. Poplin.
I would like to start with thanking the FFA presenters, Jalen and Jackson from North Stanley, Ava and Addison from South, and Lydia, Kirsten, Chloe, and Emily from West. I thought they did a wonderful job tonight. with their presentations, and I really appreciated being able to hear them. Also would like to congratulate all of our retirees from the fall of 2018 to 2021. A little late getting them in here thanks to COVID, but we got it done, and we really do appreciate all the years of service that they put in. And to the ESS employees, Renee and Roger, Tammy and Shannon, thank you guys so much for what you do. I know how difficult that is to go in and be expected to teach whatever's on your lesson plans for the day. So I appreciate those guys very much. And to Mr. Graves for his years of service, and to our speakers, William and Kaylin, thank you guys for coming. And I did want to just give another little shout out to that Safety and Marketing Community Engagement Committee. Jennifer's been working super hard over there on the safety side of things, her and Miss Pennington, but also Miss Smith reaching out to our community and interacting with the community and getting those students engaged and helping those families. She's been doing a lot of work with that, so just wanted to give her a little shout out. Thank you.
Mr. Lisk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll start out by telling you happy birthday again, Carla, and for attending our board meeting for what, your 30th? 29th? Okay. Yeah. I also want to thank or congratulate our own Bill Sorensen, announced as William Sorensen, but Mr. Bill Sorensen, who continues to serve this county. He was announced as one of the retirees, and he serves, of course, as our board member. So he's given a lot to this county, and whether we agree with him or not, we love him. And thank you to Mr. Grace for his service. It's challenging to be a board member. It's also very rewarding and to give your time and to serve the county. So thank you, Mr. Grace. Mrs. Flo, thank you very much for the $400,000 grant, all the work on that. I meant to ask you how many officers that covered. I think it was 8, but I couldn't remember. 11? Okay, I stand corrected. All right, so thank you to the Safety Committee and all your work. I'm going to finish on thanking the Albemarle High School Booster Club. I'm a graduate of Albemarle High School, and thanking this board for approving the concession stand. I was unable to attend the vote on that one or the ceremony at the football game, but as Hope knows, Albemarle stands near and dear to our heart. Jamie Harwood Harasco is her daughter, and we went to school together. So I knew Susan very well, and Jamie is a teacher at North Stanley Middle School. So the family continues to give lots of service to this county, and they mean a lot to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lisk. Dr. Leffler.
Thanks again for our retirees for showing up tonight. They just don't know how much we appreciate what they've done for our schools, and there's still a few of them that are still substituting, and some of them are working full-time with us, which is great. Thank you also to the Future Farmers of America for their presentation, which were all excellent. Thank you for our public comments, which are always informative. Thank you also to our Safety Committee, Jennifer Flo, to get this $400,000. They just don't send it to you. You have to know how to fill out the forms. You have to know who to call. You have to know the contacts. And she's done a great job for us to get these funds and to get these officers in our schools. And I just want the public to know that our schools are working hard. We're coming up on the holidays, and we on the board all think that our schools are working hard, and they're increasing the learning, and they're showing growth in our schools, which is very important.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Mr. Graves.
Thank you. I promise I'll keep it shorter than probably ever before. I want to thank and congratulate really all the individuals who received recognitions tonight, including the retirees. I echo what everyone else has said about how much they're appreciated. And I was glad to hear that there was an open invitation for any of them to join us again anytime they want. So the second thing is I wanted to thank Rachel Turner. I really appreciate what she and ESS have been doing to create, I think, a fantastic relationship with Stanley County Schools, and the fact that she has asked to be able to recognize substitutes each month, I think is a fantastic program. I'm really glad that she does that, and I know that all of our substitutes appreciate it. I know the board does too. I also want to thank Jennifer Flo and all of the individuals that helped her to get that grant. Ms. Gibson, you're absolutely right. I'm very happy that we're going to be able to have fully funded all of our SRO positions, thanks in large part to that grant. It's very important to all of us, and so that was a huge win, and I appreciate the state for getting those funds to us. I also want to thank the public speakers, both William Schaefer and also Kalen Butler, who once again is very impressive, and I know that we'll do everything we can to make her happy. And so, but I also want to thank all the board, and I want to thank Chairman Gibson for all the time that I've had on the board. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed it very, very much. And so I want to thank you guys, each one of you. And also, I'm really happy that the Finance Committee, I think, has really been doing a great job. Mr. Lisk has been doing a great job as the chairman of the committee. I appreciate all the work that Mr. Dudney's done, and all the staff. I know they take the finances of the school system very seriously, and I think we're in a really strong position. And last but not least, I do want to say that we did cover the ESSER funds in the Finance Committee meeting, and maybe we'll get an update on that publicly next month. But a lot of that information is publicly available now. And so I just wanted to assure people that we heard the request for that information loud and clear. And I think we've taken a really strong first step to get that information out. So thank you, Chairman Gibson and Superintendent Dr. Dennis and the rest of the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Is Mr. Sorensen available to speak? Okay. All right, he is not on the phone. I certainly am just going to echo what all of you have said, not going back over everything. One that's very dear to my heart, though, are the retirees. I appreciate all that, all their service to Stanley County Schools, and I wish them a great retirement. I do hope that possibly, and I know some of them are still employees with us on a part-time basis or tutoring, but it was nice to have that fellowship time with them tonight. To our ESS employee, I think that's great that we're honoring this. Thank you for starting that up, because they need to be honored. Thank you. And to our speakers, Mr. Schaefer and Kalen, thank you. Happy birthday, Ms. Poplin. And Mr. Graves, you still there?
Yes.
I have to say this. You and I ran against each other, right?
Yes. That was a painful reminder, but thanks for bringing it up.
I did win, right?
Yes, by many points.
I'm sorry to bring that up. No, basically what I wanted to say was, you and I agree, and you and I sometimes disagree, but it doesn't affect the friendship that we have. And I appreciate your time on the board. I appreciate your support of me in the chair. I do appreciate that. And anyway, we will miss seeing you, but I think we will still see you. Thank you, Mr. Graves. The date and time for our next regular scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, December 6th, 2022, in the G. McIntyre Room, beginning at 6:15. We do not need to go back into closed session. So the next thing we have on our agenda is Personnel Administration and Student Services. I will turn this over to you, Ms. Wood.
Madam Chair and members of the board, I'd like to draw your attention to the updated personnel agenda that was at your seats. Additions have been added in red. Section 1 requires no action. Section 2 does require action. So I'd like to entertain a vote at this time.
Okay, I would like to entertain a motion to approve Section 2 of the personnel agenda. Section 2. Okay, motion by Ms. Watson, a second by Ms. Poplin. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Section 2 has been approved.
Thank you.
Ms. Wood. I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Poplin, a second by Mr. Lisk. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned.